Following her father's serious health crisis earlier this year, Taylor Swift is talking candidly about his recuperation. The 35-year-old pop sensation recently disclosed that her father, Scott Swift, had an intense quintuple bypass operation during the summer, which caught the family completely off guard. On their New Heights podcast back in August, Taylor disclosed to her fiancé, Travis Kelce, and his brother Jason, that her father had an interesting summer, adding that physicians didn't find out until a resting stress test showed 5 hard blockages in his heart. She claimed that up until that point, Scott's annual physicals had always been flawless, with perfect EKGs and healthy physicals. Given the family's history, Taylor's mother, Andrea, was diagnosed with cancer in 2015 and subsequently got a brain tumor in 2020. The health concern was particularly painful. However, there is now positive news. Taylor provided a favorable report on Monday's Morning Mashup show, saying he's actually at 150% now by his own accord. He is undoubtedly overly energetic. He's doing fantastically. I'm overjoyed. To put this into perspective, my dad underwent quintuple bypass surgery during the summer. The majority of our summer, she added, was spent as a family simply caring for him and helping him return to his former self. He received incredible medical assistance and care, the physicians and nurses for whom I will always be grateful. To be honest, it helps you reframe what's important. It does. I appreciate you bringing it up because it makes me realize how fortunate I am that he survived. Taylor claimed on August's New Heights podcast that doctors made her father understand the gravity of the treatment by telling him, "We have to do this like tomorrow." According to Taylor, her dad's physicians were amazed that he was even able to come in without expressing any evident distress, considering the degree to which the arteries in his heart were obstructed. Even though Taylor was going to drop everything to help him, Scott reminded her and her brother Austin that they didn't have to rush to be with him, while he quickly got ready for the procedure. "You know, he was being a strong, courageous father," Travis continued. Taylor remembered thinking it was absurd that her father made such an effort to minimize the severity of his illness. He mentioned something like, "A cat will curl up around a tree and heal itself if it gets hurt." I thought to myself, "Dad, cats don't have quintuple bypass surgery. That's wild. You're just saying stuff now. That doesn't mean anything to me." Taylor claimed that her father woke up surrounded by her brother, their mother Andrea, and his closest friend, proving that she had lied when she said she wouldn't cause a scene and fly to be with him. She described how Scott became a comedian after becoming drunk during his first 15 minutes of consciousness, which impressed her because she found Scott to be generally humorous even when he wasn't under the influence of anesthesia. The Eras Tour singer said how before he underwent surgery, her family was unaware of the number of blocked arteries, so they informed him in disbelief that he had undergone a quintuple bypass. With a croaking voice, Taylor attempted to mimic her dad's sleepy post-surgery response. "Well, you see, I come from a very competitive family." Scott was apparently so inebriated that shortly after he woke up from surgery, he attempted to give some of Taylor's guitar picks to the doctors and nurses nearby, which is a common gesture that he keeps for his fans. But he wasn't wearing pants, and his surgical gown had no pockets to hold the picks. She became aware that the parent-child dynamic had changed during the early stages of her father's recuperation, and she was now helping to care for him. But now her brother was pleading with her to take her father's phone because he had been FaceTiming his friends from his hospital bed all night instead of getting some much-needed sleep and rest. She smiled as she remembered how her parents used to chastise her for staying up late to talk to her friend Abigail on the phone when she should be sleeping. "That's one of the most important things you need," Travis reiterated. Taylor described a humorous incident where she, Austin, and her mother all declined to take his phone and risk upsetting him. "It was surreal," the folklore singer continued, "because her father used to construct her play sets and cribs, but now it was her turn to construct his shower chair and his walker, as well as his adjustable bed." Taylor claimed that Scott was initially unable to walk by himself, so she effectively spent the summer living with her father and had to buy him a harness in order to walk him. Travis then interrupted to explain that her father was appreciative that he caught it and full of life. Taylor disclosed later in the interview that her mother recently got a new knee, so her father wasn't the only one with significant health news. "She's doing fantastically," she said. "She's scampering around." Then she corrected herself. "She's doing fantastically, but we're not quite at scampering yet. She's up and moving around," Travis continued. Taylor noticeably didn't offer any updates on her mother's earlier cancer diagnosis. Andrea was reportedly diagnosed with an unidentified cancer in 2015, but it subsequently went into remission. However, in a 2019 essay for Elle, Taylor disclosed that her mother's cancer had returned. She also stated in 2020 that doctors had since discovered Andrea had a brain tumor. Fans saw Andrea's frequent appearance on her daughter's hectic Eras tour as a sign that she was doing well, even though the celebrity singer has since kept her mother's cancer struggle behind the scenes and provided no further updates. Taylor referred to the past few months as the summer of my parental upgrades later in the episode. "We're just upgrading the parents, making sure they live to be at least 186 years old, because they're two of my best friends and I just adore them." The singer began to sound tearful again as she raved about how much she enjoyed spending so much time with her parents this summer. She claimed that after living together once again for a considerable amount of time, she learned to appreciate the long talks they would have, something she wasn't used to when she would only see her parents for brief, focused moments. Alongside her dad's health update, Taylor has even more positive news to offer. In its first day of release in the United States, her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, sold an incredible 2.7 million copies in traditional album sales, including digital and physical forms. Swift has already broken her own first-week sales record in a single day, while her previous album, 2024's The Tortured Poets Department, sold 2.61 million equivalent album units in its first week. These figures are astounding for a number of reasons. But the achievements don't end there, as The Life of a Showgirl achieved the second largest sales week of any album in the modern era since Luminate started keeping track in 1991. The only album to top it was Adele's 25, which sold 3.378 million copies in the United States in its first week in 2015.